Our tax take is falling, many talented people are leaving, and we want, as a party, as many entrepreneurs, as many risk takers, as many job creators, as many people paying lots of tax, as many people investing huge sums of money. We want as many of them as possible to be in our country.
Nigel Farage there, showing that he really is just part of the neoliberal establishment. That speech is no different from something you'd hear from David Cameron, Boris Johnson, arguably even Tony Blair. On the subject of Tony Blair, I did make a video a week or two ago stating how Nigel Farage seems to be doing a reverse Blair strategy from 1997. You may recall in the run-up to the 97 election, Blair scrapped Clause 4. That was the Labour Party's commitment to socialist economic policy, i.e. their tie to the historic working class. What that meant is it freed him up to play to the centrists, the centre-right, the aspirational types, because he offset his portrayal of the left with the embrace of what became wokeness. Farage seems to be doing the exact opposite. He has the core right-wing vote in the country, which is growing by the day. People who'd like to see Britain return to its roots, to try and find our tradition again, to try and find some sanity, and are sick of this talk about competing in the world and GDP, which essentially means more mass immigration. While Farage is catching some heat from various areas amongst his base due to sounding more and more like a Blairite, I thought an even more garish example of the state of reform came in this video featuring their chairman, or once chairman, Zia Youssef.
An important economic announcement from Reform today. We're introducing the Britannia card. For centuries, Britain was a powerhouse on the global stage, a magnet for global talent and treasure.
So in the first 5 seconds we can see the propaganda on display. They're using footage of Britain as it was in the old times, where it actually felt like home, again playing to the reform base. But they put over the top of this that it was a magnet for global talent. No, it wasn't. It was Britain. It was full of British people back then.
A Reform government with Nigel as Prime Minister will make Britain a prosperous and powerful country again. To do that, we must be honest about a key ingredient for a thriving economy. We need the brightest and best entrepreneurs, wealth and job creators to be here in the UK. But they're fleeing in record numbers, fleeing to Dubai, to Singapore and to America, chased away by a procession of disastrous Tory and Labour chancellors.
This is just neoliberalism 101. How stupid do they think we are at this point? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with attracting good talent from around the world, but for the past 30 years we've worked out now that attracting the new entrepreneurs, the big multinationals, means that you also have to accept mass immigration because you need the factory workers, the Deliveroo drivers, and so on and so on.
That's a big reason why everyone feels poorer in Britain. So, reform will make Britain attractive to the international wealth creators, but they must pay for the privilege of living in Britain. So they'll pay a £250,000 landing fee, which gets them a Britannia card, so no tax on foreign earnings. And here's the key. All of that money will go straight to the lowest 10% of earners in full-time work in Britain. Based on conservative assumptions about uptake for this card, this means £600 to £1,000 every year to the lowest paid full-time British workers. We call it the Britannia Workers' Dividend.
Now, what could possibly go wrong with this policy? Remember the switcheroo I mentioned at the beginning, where Tony Blair sold out the socialist Labour working class in order to play to the liberal UK middle class? Well, this is exactly the same in reverse. They know this policy isn't going to go down well amongst their base, especially working class people who feel sold out. In essence, what Reform are doing here is serving you a shit sandwich. They're giving you a layer of bread which tells you we're not the uni party, we're completely different. They give you another bit of bread which is we're going to give dividends to the working class British workers to offset the new talent they're bringing in from abroad. The shit, of course, is that this is just more neoliberalism. What this video is really about is signalling to the liberal, especially the neoliberal elite, that they are firmly on board. And do keep a very close eye on what they mean by British people. Would it actually be British people, or will it be people that got a passport or indefinite leave to remain 10 minutes ago?
It's a transfer of wealth from the international wealthy to the lowest paid full-time workers in Britain, and the internationally wealthy will voluntarily and gladly pay it. Why? Because despite the best efforts of the political class, Britain still has the best people, the best legal system, the best language, the best time zone, and so much more going for it. It's time to restore the broken social contract in Britain and make Britain prosperous and powerful again.
Yeah, not sure quite who's going to buy that. I think the bit that stings me the most is when he speaks about how Britain has the best legal system and so on. Well, the reason we have these things is because we're a very old, ancient country where people have largely been homogenous, part of an ancient tradition where we've been able to build these things. It's this very neoliberalism that's destroying that. I mean, that Reform try and present themselves as counter-establishment is just ridiculous at this point. They are the establishment. They're completely neoliberals through and through. Another thing that struck me about all of this was despite the imagery, the British flag and the talk of Britannia cards, it all has an unmistakably American feel to it. And again, this will play very well with the globalists because, well, it's the language of globalisation. But it feels to me that Reform's base, the heart of Britain, the heart of Europe at the moment, craves the homely. We crave the traditional, something which defines us as a people in a very chaotic time. Yet as I often point to in this channel, we're in a cycle of eras rather than elections. Elections aren't really going to do anything because the era is that of materialism, of the merchant, of money power which wants to eat everything alive, including your heritage. So in essence, Reform seemed to be nothing more than the right-leaning flank of the neoliberals, whereas the Blairites, who dominate everything at the moment, are essentially the left-liberal flank. So the real question for Farage, Reform, the liberal system itself and everybody out there in Britain is, will the public buy it? Do let me know what you think about this down below and do consider subscribing to the channel if you're new.